Alors, c'est l'entrevue avec moi, Marie-Catherine Langevin-Cusson et Jeff. On est le 17 avril.
Si tu dis.
Tu t'approches un petit peu. Oui, comme ça, on se
Good.
voit.
We.
Oui.
Oh,
Hi.
hi. This is a little weird.
Yes, it is.
Sitting like this, it feels a little bit contrived sitting in front of the cameras. It
Yeah.
almost feels like people are watching us, even though
Yeah.
it's just you and I, and we haven't done anything yet. Okay,
Good thing.
let's take a moment
Hmm.
and just connect. Do you think our millions of viewers can handle it if we close our eyes for 30 seconds and
I
take a
think
deep breath?
so.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Probably will cut that out, Maybe yes, maybe not. Come, come, come. I know you're gay, you can hug me and be close, it's
Yes,
fine.
yes, yes. No
Yes.
one's gonna no one's gonna get jealous.
Yes.
Yes, yes. We have consent.
Yes.
Yes.
Of whom? I'm not sure.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. I'm gonna just close my eyes for a minute
Mm.
and let myself center.
So we have a turtle.
I have a turtle. This turtle was given to me by my acupuncturist,
Okay.
who I see once a month and who I love. And she told me, she gave me the turtle, and she said in Chinese mythology, the turtle represents longevity,
Oh.
spirituality, health, and retreat.
Oh, interesting.
And it was the retreat part that touched me the most
Yeah.
because it always has its home on its back. So it can always go inward when it needs to, no matter where it is.
Mm.
And that's so all the things that I wear they're all symbolic. They're all reminders. When I feel them dangling in my ear or when I look in the mirror and see this, yeah, they're all reminders of who we really are, of who I really am,
Mm.
which leads me to who we really are,
Mm.
which is why you and I are sitting here today, I think.
Yeah. I also have a turtle in my life, which was the Micmac clan, the
Mm,
Turtle clan,
mm,
where I was adopted
mm,
when I was in my 30s
mm,
from the Turtle clan.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the White Buffalo after, but Turtle clan first.
Well, see, there's a whole story there that I'm interested
Yeah.
in knowing.
But it has another significance. It's more like the creator of
Mm,
the universe.
mm,
And so the universe is on a turtle um, back.
mm,
And yes, it includes the all the directions.
mm.
So if you're a turtle, then um, you have the c'est dur à parler en anglais, hein, pour
Ben, on
dire.
peut le faire en français.
Non, c'est correct. If
J'entends
you're
ça.
a turtle, you can embody the creator.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, and the turtle actually does protect me. That's how I feel
mm,
in shamanic realms.
mm.
So we have that in common,
Yes.
and we have other things.
We have many other things in common, which we will speak about. But what I'm going to offer is this. I think for me, what I feel we have most in common, and feel free to fine tune this, or modify it. But for me, it feels like what we have most in common is the knowing, the deep, deep knowing that we are far more than the shell of our physical body.
Mm.
And I say shell, but even that's not true because our body is not just this shell. Our body is a living, breathing expression of life, and our body is also connected to the infinite possibilities and potentials of all that is. So we are an expression of that. And I think that what I feel, what I always felt from you since we met not so long ago, was that we both share this deep knowing that we are um, embodied expressions of the universe, and that we have access to infinite possibilities as we express life through our being. And I think that for me, that knowing gives me access to practices that allow me to create my life from that deep, deep knowing. And I feel like for me, that's what brought us here together because we both want to share things with people who may not have that sense or that knowing that we have access to more creative power than we're taught to believe in our culture.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I even think that is why we met. And
Mm-hmm.
this is how we met because I saw you in a room of, I don't know, 2,000 people. And I went, okay, you come here.
Yes. And I was like, me? Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But also, it's because I felt it, right? For many reasons, but whatever the story is. Also, um, we both survived end of life illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
In People say miracles. Me, I don't think it's a miracle because I think we can reproduce it
Mm.
if we know that we are divine.
Mm-hmm.
Then we take the position of the creator, the turtle.
Yes. 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 I agree with you in all of those things. And I think it's so hard to put in language. But when you say that we take, um, I'll use my words, we take the perspective of, we take the perspective from the divine in us and create from that place. Because we are divine beings.
Mhm.
And we are, as all of the ancient wisdom traditions tell us, and all of the spiritual traditions, we live in a world of illusion, that we are more than that. And you hear this from every single wisdom tradition. But when we really can connect on a deep, deep knowing that we are the divine living itself through us, then we are no longer just Jeff living as Jeff and Marie-Catherine living as you. All of a sudden, we become like a lens through which we can take all of that divine energy and choose how we want to see it form itself in this three-dimensional physical world.
For me, I see patients in my life, and when they come and they tell me a story about their illness, about their pain, I know that this story is the distortion. It is. Because if they knew that they were divine, they would go, oh, what a nice way to put in more light in
Mm-hmm.
my creation.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got sick, and I did a lot in my life, it's not because I did lack light. It's because, well, because there's so many explanations, but it's more like a gigantic exercise of putting in my manifestation of who I am, which is God.
Yes.
But this manifestation being as divine as I can and put consciousness everywhere. So, for example, when I got sick the first time, that's 15 years ago, uh, I was 38 and vegan, and I was doing yoga every day, meditating for like, I don't know, I was 38, so I started at 15, and I think I never missed a day.
Mm.
So I was really very, I had a lot of discipline, let's say. Yes, I missed a day, the day I gave birth.
Mm.
So that's pretty much it. Um, so I did not lack anything. It was more like, okay, I am everything, including that.
Mm-hmm.
And after, when I got better, it was intestine. After, when I got better, then the doctor said, you need to eat meat every day. And then I had a dream. Well, it was more like a vision, like I was awake. I asked what I imagine as being masters of higher dimensions from me, which now I don't believe in because I embody everything. But at the time, I asked them, okay, so what is the highest vibration on earth embodied? I know it's not human. I was thinking maybe the dolphins or the mammals. And the answer was, and they laughed, and the answer was, it's not. They said to me, this is not the right answer, but we will give you an answer that will teach you something. Okay? Then they said, it is the industrial cows. Strange.
Yes.
And I said, okay, why? They said, well, it takes a lot of compassion to decide to embody yourself in a cow that will not be able to see the light of the day, that will bury children and be raped and give milk to a species that is about to kill itself because it kills the planet.
Wow. Oh my.
Oh.
Wow.
So I said, okay, okay. I ate meat after that.
And I suspect that you ate meat with a deep, deep level of gratitude.
Yes. Yes, and it did heal my gut. I never had anything after. It did work. Tell me about a little bit more about your story.
Yes. Okay. So I'm glad that you started talking about that because I know for me, I think for both of us, one of the main reasons we wanted to do this video, whatever it becomes, is because we want people to understand that just because we live in a society that tells us there's a specific outcome to expect from a medical condition, we want everyone to know that that's not necessarily true, that there are more options than what a prognosis says. And the expression, believe the diagnosis, don't believe the prognosis. And we are living proof of that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the name of our podcast, Living Proof.
Oh, yeah,
What do
that's
you
a good
think?
idea.
What do you think, viewers?
Oh, I couldn't see it. Come.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay.
You have to be very
Yes, yes,
close.
yes. I moved back because I can't see without my glasses.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe I'll have to wear my glasses.
Yeah,
Anyway,
why not?
but anyway, or I'll just. Um, so we are both living proof. Well, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I was given the diagnosis of having a brain tumor, a malignant brain tumor.
Can you name it?
Yes, it's a glioblastoma. And um, if anybody Googles glioblastoma, they'll see that it has a very dire prognosis. People who have that diagnosis are not expected to live very long. Sometimes months, at most a couple of years. That's the average. But I knew as soon as I had my diagnosis and I went home and I was sitting on my couch, um, I was staring at the wall and I was praying in that I was just reaching out to I was reaching out to the I call it God. That's the word I use because it feels most personal. I was reaching out to that part of my awareness that knew that I am much more than just this small individual embodied human being. I was just reaching out for something without even asking anything specific. I wasn't asking a question. I wasn't using any religious prayer. I was just stretching my soul out, and something opened up in front of me. It almost felt like a window opened up. And from that moment, from that moment, I knew that the only thing that I had to do nonstop for the rest of my life was point all of my energy toward that window, toward God. No matter what I did, I always had to direct myself there.
Hmm.
And I knew that I would be okay. I knew it. And that's not to say that wasn't, you know, a life situation challenge because brain surgery, all the treatments, we don't have to talk about all of it, but you can imagine all the things that one goes through with cancer, the chemotherapy, the radiation. Um, but the it never my physical state wasn't never really so bad. I recovered from the surgery quickly. Um, the chemo and the radiation didn't really have much of an adverse effect on me.
Hmm.
The worst part was the shock of being all of a sudden a cancer patient.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, I mean, there were some effects like my eating changed and my sense of smell became super, super strong, which nobody could explain. So that was the hugest impact of my life. Um, but the worst part was wondering if I was ever going to find my joy again.
You lost the joy
I
there.
lost my joy because I couldn't stand any smell. We couldn't make coffee in the house.
Yeah.
We couldn't cook in the house. Being in my car, I was super, super aware of the smell of plastic. If anybody was wearing an ounce of cream on their body, I could smell it from 100 meters away. It was so I was always assaulted by odors, and that was the worst part because I had no protection. Everything smells, um, which, by the way, is now a blessing because I'm going to put in a parenthesis and I'm going to shorten the story and you remind me where I was going to.
Okay.
The shortened story is that at the time, my husband Christopher had to stop wearing everything, all scents and odors and colognes and creams, and I was like, you know, I had no choice. We had to stop it. And a few days ago, I was sitting downstairs in our house. He was upstairs, and I was doing my morning ritual. I was reading something, and I smelt his cologne come downstairs because as a result of that being an over having oversensitive smell, my smell has remained precise, but in a beautiful way because now I appreciate smells so much more. And I could smell his perfume coming down the stairs, and I thought, ah, how glorious. At one time, it would have been an assault, a war on my senses. Now it felt like a blessing to be able to smell the beautiful, beautiful smell of his cologne from a different floor of the house.
Mm.
And I'm so grateful for that.
Mm.
So back to my story. I went through all of that the year of treatment, and through it all, it led me to live my life in an even deeper way with each day, seeking God in me, seeking myself in God, recognizing God in others, as I'm doing with you right now, and feeling all of the possibilities that I never knew existed and that I'm still discovering, thank God, and changing my life according to that truth, changing all of the habits and patterns that had been in place in my life that my soul was telling me all along, don't do that, Jeff, don't do that. Little things that went against the grain of what my soul wanted. I could hear the voice. I just never acknowledged it because it wasn't the popular thing to do or the common thing to do. Things, things just regular, without naming the millions of things that we do. I'll give one silly example: honking at somebody while driving, as one example, where my soul said, don't do that. And now I don't do it because I get it. There's another divine being in front of me living their own life. Why? How is that going to help? Anyway, all the little things in my life that I knew went against what my soul wanted, now I can hear that voice. Mm. And in fact, I'll say this: after my surgery, when I was about to do something that went against what I knew my soul wanted, I would have a slight pain in my head where the tumor was.
That's interesting.
Yes, as if to say, ah, pay attention.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pay attention. Ah, and I knew that I wasn't, but the sign was still there to remind me, listen, don't forget. And now that pain doesn't happen anymore because I feel like I am finally living my life aligned and in tune with my soul. It's like all the pieces of my life, if you can imagine marbles that are transparent, say they be marbles that are all lined up one after the other, and they're all the parts of my life. And my soul is the light coming through one of them and being diffused through all of them now into the world. That's how I feel I'm living my life. Mm. And I'm so grateful for it.
It's aligned.
It's aligned.
Yes.
I feel so grateful for it. And I had another surgery in 2022. Okay. I want to share that. There was a small recurrence. My surgeon said, yeah, we can get rid of that. I had the surgery. Recovery was easy. I had no side effects from the chemo treatment that I did. Zero. Life didn't stop at all. And it's almost 8 years later from the beginning of the story. And life has never been more beautiful. I've never been more grateful for every single day and every relationship, and for the opportunity to hear what my soul wants me to do in the world and to respond as an instrument of service to the divine and help others see their own divinity. All of that to say, it's possible to live. Don't believe the prognosis.
Yeah. Yes. And also, quick reminder, you don't need to have cancer to experience that
Mm.
level of alignment, let's say.
Mhm.
So I think cancer and suffering are optional.
Yes,
You know.
yes.
Um, so yeah, congratulations. Eh?
Congratulations to you too.
Mhm.
I feel the energy in my palms right now, pulsing, and
Yeah,
I want to take your hands in mine if I
I
can.
feel it.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Woohoo.
Mhm.
So this end of life or threat
Mm.
is is a good opportunity for if you choose to. You can choose otherwise, but it's a
Mhm.
good opportunity
Mm.
to rise up to who we really, really are.
Mm.
In my case, I was not a beginner in spirituality. Like I was heavy, heavy weight already.
Mhm.
So when it happened once, I figured that it might be just divine playing a roulette,
Mm.
you know. So I just kind of won the lottery. So I decided to go with it and set up my priorities. And in my case, it was the opposite of you. My life was so aligned, so disciplined, and
Mm.
so to the point that I forgot that I wanted things. I wanted, sex. I wanted to, explore every country. And I wanted to live so much.
Mm.
And with all my discipline, I did not have the space for it. So I became less divine
Mhm.
in a way. But of course, it's not less divine because I don't think the divine wants us to do that. You know, that's an idea. It's egregore
Mm.
that comes probably from Judaism and Christianism and
Can you
Protestantism.
explain that?
Yeah, an egregore is a mix of ideas and emotions that are that uh, move around like a cloud.
Mm.
So it's an energetic field,
Mm.
and every little part feeds each other.
Mm.
So, for example, we are now in Montreal, Quebec, and in Quebec we have the guilt egregore that is very strong.
Mm.
Like if you're good, there might be something wrong with you. If
Mm.
you're rich, there might be something wrong with you.
Mm.
So it's always the guilt thing. It comes from the church. That was very powerful just 50 years ago. Of course, people were growing up from that, thank God.
Yes.
I don't think God wanted to punish people.
No. No. Let's state for the record. I think that any idea of God as punisher is not an idea of what God wants to be.
Yeah.
No. God wants
If
us
there's
to.
a sin, that's it.
Yes. Yes. For me, God is love.
Mhm.
God is love, wants us to love because we are created in love. We are loved, we are loving, and we are love embodied.
Yeah, it's the fabric. It's the fabric of the universe. So if we feel the fabric, it is pure love.
Mm.
It's not attachment. It's not jealousy. It's just love, pure love without stories, without distortions. It's just pure, pure. And we are the embodiment of that.
Yes.
The and inside the matter. And with the matter, we grow in love.
Mm.
We even have to make love in order to make babies.
Mm.
Really,
Mm. Yes.
Mm. So what was my idea for that?
No clue.
Um,
You were talking about how you were all lined up.
yeah,
And,
I was lined up and everything. So, you know what I did? I said, okay, I was in the cancer hospital, and I looked each side, and there was a mother with her kid that was about 4 years old, and I was like, oh, it's her or her husband.
mm,
So I was like, oh. And then an old couple was there, and I was there alone. I just got divorced at the time, and then it struck me. Why would I survive this?
mm,
Why would me would survive this? Because it's the statistics, it's people, right? So there's always a 2% that survives everything. Why would that be me? And I don't think that I was more full of light than the other one or more full of responsibility. I also had a child, she was 8 at the time, but still. So then I figured that this surviving thing would be a roll of dice
mm,
with God,
mm,
meaning I'm God and I'm the dice.
mm,
So what do I want?
mm,
Then I figured that, okay, I want to grow up to see my child grow up. It seems very obvious, but to me, it was like, oh, I don't want to leave her like this. She's 8. Also, I wanted to drive a luxury sports car.
mm.
And I was
I,
so
I
ashamed.
wasn't expecting you to say that.
Oh, neither. Like, I was like, I always buy ugly and safe cars that are cheap because I want, it's like, I want a nice car and drive that. Now, when I look at that, I laugh and I don't think it's a good idea to do that. But the energy from that was I want the diamonds of life. I
Mm,
want the highest pitch of life.
mm,
I want to experiment every aspect of life.
mm,
I did a lot of discipline and good food and healthy choices, blah blah blah. I did that and meditations and da da da. And I did have cancer,
mhm,
colon cancer. How is that possible? Like everybody in my family is a centenarian.
mm,
What happened? So I was like, okay, then I'll go and eat at McDonald's
mm,
and I'll drive a sports car, which I
mm,
did.
mm,
Uh, yeah, it was a Mercedes.
mm,
Um, then I also wanted to teach more. And when I got the surgery, they took out my intestine. So I spent like a week at the hospital after that, and so my students would come to me and with a tape recorder, and they would say, "In case you go, would you mind talk?
mm,
Please talk."
mm,
And I was like, "Oh yeah, yes, please do talk."
mm,
So I did talk for hours and hours and
mm,
hours just explain how I understand the body, life, da 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 da. And
mm,
it does exist still, that tape.
mm.
Yeah, I don't think it was that interesting, but still,
To
um, the the thing is, I figured that all of this life work that I did until the age of 38, when I got the surgery, I was 39. Um, to me, it was obvious. It was knowledge, common knowledge, but for other people, it was gold.
Yes.
And I just did talk like regular stuff, you know, for an osteopath, let's say, regular stuff. I'm an osteopath. So,
I'm going to jump in
yeah,
because what you're talking about in terms of being super, super disciplined
yeah.
and then changing course in your sports car,
Yes.
to use that as a metaphor, which I think is
Yeah. Change gear.
pretty brilliant of me.
Yeah.
Um, it makes me think of now in my life, whenever I find, because of course, oh my God, cancer, where do you start? What do I have to do? And then all of a sudden, this is a word of caution to anyone who's experiencing anything like this with any illness. As soon as you announce that something's wrong, people with good intentions, the floodgates are going to open and people will
Yeah.
be bombarding you. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to take this. You need to go there. You
I
need
will
to fly
send
there. You
you
need to CPS.
light. You lack light. I will send you more.
You need to see. I need to see this doctor. There's a treatment offered in that country. You need to go there. It doesn't stop,
Yeah.
and it becomes so oppressive. And what it is really is fear. So instead of offering you again with beautiful intentions and hope and love and genuine concern, in fact, what's being created is this weight of fear. Yeah. And so I found myself in a position where I thought, how am I going to do everything? How am I going to do everything? So I started to do what I could. I started to change. Well, I was already vegetarian. I was already eating well, but I started to eat even better. Um, I got freaked out by sugar, and so I, I won't go into all the small details, but all to say, I started to feel like if I don't do everything, I'm going to die. Literally, I'm going to
And
die.
it's your fault because
And,
you didn't do
thank you for
everything.
saying that. And it will be my fault because I didn't. So jumping forward now, after going through that process for a while, what I learned, what I learned on a deep, deep level is that anytime I think that I have to do something from a place of fear, it's the wrong thing to do. Any decision based out of a place of fear is wrong. And I can feel that in my core now.
That is
Because
so great.
life,
Yeah.
God wants us to be joyful. God wants us to have joy. God wants us to drive the sports car,
Yes. Or
dance,
do
dance the
something.
salsa,
Yeah.
whatever the equivalent is of for anyone in
Yeah.
their own life. We are here to experience joy. And now the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I commit to being joyful. I commit to joy every single day.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said that when you were experimenting sickness, you lost your joy.
Mm.
You said why with the smell and everything.
Mhm.
And you were sick also, you know,
Yeah.
this is hard.
Yeah, yeah. You're facing the possibility of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when it's an end of life uh, sickness, it's very particular, let's say.
Mhm.
Um, you know me when I had this stage 4 metastatic cancer.
Mhm.
Um, I cried for, I don't know, maybe 36 hours. And after that, I dropped everything. Like energetically.
Mhm.
I went like leap of faith, you know, no, nothing. Um, it's like no pressure or limits or even my body position. Even if I was like this, I had to be comfortable in any ways I could. And I did not do anything. I didn't read. I didn't go on Facebook. I didn't do anything. I didn't even, I tried watching TV because TV, it's pretty much nothing. And I couldn't. It was too much.
Yeah.
Just being there. And I was very surprised because from that emerged something which was pure joy and compassion, which I had before. It's not that I didn't have it, but it was like there was no limit because maybe I was going anyways. So may as well just be that. And I was already there. So and I understood that I was never otherwise.
Yeah. And that's a big one.
So what is your joy? How it came back?
Uh, I think that at some point I missed it so much. Well, this is what happened. I missed it so much. I thought, if I'm here now, I'm not going to waste my time for as long as I have crying all the time and saying, poor me, what's going to happen? I'm here now. And I don't take credit for learning all of that. God knows. Thank you to all the teachers. Thank you for all of the spiritual wisdom teachers. Thank you to all the quantum physicists. Thank you to
Mm.
all the near death experiences, people who are writing. Thank you to all of the teachers out there who have sent me. Thank you, God, for sending me all of their books to show me from every possible angle who I really am. At some point, I got it. Thank you, Eckhart Tolle. I got it. In the now, if I'm here right now, I'm not going to waste this second not being joyful. That is to, and this is it, this is really the key. To me, that is to dishonor this life, this privilege of a life that I've been given.
Mm-hmm.
To say, poor me constantly is to dishonor this miracle that I am. And that's when everything shifted. Ah, joy is what I choose. Joy is what I choose.
I have another kind of story like this. I was waiting in to get radiation. So with every day for 1 month, always with the same people who all had cancer, and we were burned, literally burned, and we were waiting in this waiting room to get burned again every day, same time. And most of us were depressed. Oh, shoot, I'm gonna die. I'm a stage 4.
Mm.
And I remember one guy came to me and he said, "Oh, I'm finished. I'm stage 4." And me, I was full of joy. So I was like, "I'm a stage 4 too."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "No, you're not." I said, "Well, it seems like it. I think I am." And then I started to do things like, saying, "Well, it's because I really love to come here and show my boobs to people so they could burn it." It's like, oh, it's so fun. And then the another girl started to play with her jacket. She had boobs thing too. She was a stage 3, but and she was like, "And yes, me." I go, "Boom, this is me." And we started acting out.
Mm.
So then, each of us got called. The day after, guess what happened?
Mm.
We started doing jokes and doing jokes and laughing it out. And when I finished I think it was 30. When I finished it, they said, "Oh, you're already finished?" I said, "Yes. I might not even come back. And they said, "Oh, good for you, but we'll miss you."
Mm.
And I think that the team we built up by doing crazy things, it's like we were doing, comment on appelle ça une grimace?
Uh, Funny faces.
Funny faces
Yeah.
to the sickness.
Mhm.
And the staff were laughing.
Yeah.
Everybody was laughing.
Yeah.
And we were all fighting for our life.
You change the energy.
Not
No.
only me, with
Yeah.
the team,
Of
you
course.
know?
Of course.
Yes,
Of course.
yes.
Which is perhaps we can bookmark that for another conversation about how we are all connected and what we can achieve. Everything that you and I are talking about right now, doing within our own energy systems, if we combine forces,
Wow.
what we can do. So we can
Yes.
we, can- we can we can talk about that at some point as well. But I am gonna, because we're having a conversation, I'm gonna jump back to 2017. I had just had my surgery, and of course, when you're newly diagnosed as a cancer patient and you just had your first brain surgery, everything is terrifying. As I was getting ready to leave the hospital after only maybe 2 nights, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Um, Shout out to Dr. Hall at the Montreal Neurological Institute. I love you. Um, as I was leaving the room with my bag and Christopher, I somehow ended up talking to an older man and his wife who were sitting in the room. And he said, "Yeah, my wife, she had stage 4 cancer. She's fine today." And that was the first time in those 36 hours or whatever it was that I did not hear the worst. You have to do this. Stop eating bananas. You know? I'm still trying to make peace with bananas, but I have them every day. Yes. But when I heard him just say that, she had stage 4 cancer. It's gone. I left, that's what I left with. Hope, which is why I'm sitting here with you today.
Yeah.
To be that person for whoever else ends up hearing this.
And me too.
Yes. Yes. And that 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 changes everything.
Mhm. One day, you know, someone told me, and it was very profound, not an insult or anything like that. She told me, she said, you know, Catherine, having cancer is not worse than having cold.
Mm.
I was like, oh, I think it's worse, you know, like you cannot just take a Tylenol. She said, yeah, but it's the same.
Mm.
I said, okay, what do you mean? And she said, it's only a tool if you want it to be a tool.
Mm. Yes.
A tool to expand your consciousness,
Mm.
to put light, or to show, like, because I survived and I'm thriving,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
then it means that other people can do that.
Yes.
Like, I'm not any different, not at all. Oops, there's something with the film. Ah, saturé. Ben oui, c'est saturé, c'est correct. Qu'est-ce que tu veux? Fait que ça va être là, notre caméra.
Okay. Um, I suspect that, well, no, I won't make any assumptions.
Go ahead.
But for me, cancer has been, and I know it sounds cliche, and and I want to, I want to be sure to make it clear that I am not at all minimizing the
That's
experience for
it.
anyone else that's going through this. I want to be very, very clear about that. But cancer for me, with all of the hardships and all of the sadness and all of the tears and all of the discomfort, it has ultimately led me to be a much deeper, more expansive version of who I always was. It it forced me to face my mortality. It forced me to make friends. It forced me to first to acknowledge death as a real possibility in the short term. And then I had to learn how to make friends with it. I knew, that expression, the only way out is through. I had to learn to really be with death. Okay. And once I did that, I could live because there was nothing else. There was no other choice. Life was the only choice. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm not dead. I'm alive. Um, and interestingly, I like to say sometimes to friends that I've been training my whole life for this. When I was in my teens, I was aware that there was more going on than meets the eye, literally. I was aware of coincidences and synchronicities and, all the stories we hear. You think of somebody and they call, all the things like that. I knew there was more, which led me down a path of reading about spirituality. And I was 17, 18, 19. I ended up doing my master's degree in uh, the idea of interconnectedness and the relationship between quantum physics theory and spirituality.
You did that in religious sciences, eh?
I did it in education.
Oh.
We had to squeeze my topic to fit the education department.
Okay.
And I had a beautiful, beautiful advisor who was very interested in spirituality. And he said, yeah, we'll find a way. So my thesis became about, it was in values education.
Okay.
So my thesis became, how can we reimagine the curriculum in elementary schools from a spiritual perspective? Imagine if kids, instead of just learning mathematics, 1 + 1 = 2, I almost said 3.
11.
Imagine if they could learn about like fractal geometry, rather than just geometry, fractal geometry, and just this idea that there are mathematical forms in invisible space and they go on for infinity. If we could use the subjects that we're learning about to give us glimpses into our true nature, these kids would go through education learning that they are divine beings from the get-go, from the very beginning.
I'm not sure that they need to learn that though.
They need to remember.
Yeah.
They need to remember.
That's it.
Because it's conditioned out of us in our culture. A lot of it's conditioned out of us. A lot of it's conditioned out of us. I certainly wasn't encouraged to think about myself as a divine being. Anyway, and so I knew all of that, and then life took a different course, and I always said, oh, I need to get back to that. I need to get back to, and I love what I do I work as a personal stylist. I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I love it because I get to help people feel good about themselves and feel authentic through their clothing. So my goal has always been to want people to know that they're more than they think they are. Mm-hmm. But I always knew I really need to get back to my spiritual roots and connect more with that. And cancer said, Jeff, now's the time. Now's the time. And that's exactly what happened. And now I'm living my life. Everything else is coming, everything I do now is coming from that place of myself as a spiritual being, rather than just knowing theoretically that I'm a spiritual being.
Yeah.
My practice is practicing being.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for it. And I know it might sound trite. And again, I don't want anyone to feel like I'm dismissing anyone's experience, because I'm not. I get it. I get it. This is life changing stuff, and this is hard. And not but, and this is life. We're going to be faced with stuff. This is life. all we can do is be with it and have a relationship with whatever circumstances we're in from the place of knowing that we are divine beings with far more creative power than we have learned to believe ourselves as having. And that's, I feel like that's my mission in life now, is to be of service to help people remember that. Remember that. Because it's in us. We just have to remember, literally, re-member,
Yeah.
reconnect with it. We are the universe embodied. We have access to everything.
What is there to say after that?
Yeah.
I think that pretty much sums it up. Mm. You know, it makes me think of one thing. You know, in yoga, there's 8 limbs. Okay. So there's the practices, the pranayamas, the whatever. But one of the limbs is concentration.
Mm.
And basically, it's what we call in Western, it's called meditation.
Mm.
So we learn to place our mind, to concentrate it on a dot or an idea or a mantra.
Mm.
Or so when we are able to do that, then we develop the sense of who we are. We know that we're not the thought or the emotion or even the pain and the legs, you know. Um, then we know that we are the observer,
Mm.
which is God, because you don't observe it from, let's say, your eyes or your skin. You observe it through consciousness, pure consciousness. And the Vedic tradition says that basically, when you're able to put your mind on a dot and stay put, what happens is the observer, the soul, they don't call it that, but same, takes the place. And then consciousness expands.
Yes.
And then meditation happens. That's how they call it. It's a state. Meditation becomes a state of being. In that state of being, there is no way you're not at peace. It's not possible. Even when you're angry, sad, whatever, low frequency, you can have an emotion from something that happens that upsets you or whatever, but it doesn't change inside, or the consciousness that is at peace. To me, that is called awakened. Like éveillé in French, awakened, not enlightened.
No, awakened.
Awakened. So this is a choice, really.
Yes,
it's a choice.
It's a choice.
Because you can, like, when you have a diagnosis, it's like there's a bomb in your body. And they say, oh, the bomb is coming up. Beware. And then you don't control much, actually. And at the same time, you do control everything. Because there's a place where you can be the observer and stay at peace. You can be dying and be at peace. So that comes to the floating state that I was talking about, this state of being totally in grace.
Yes.
While in treatment.
Yes.
Like, I remember being in these big machines. I think it was an MRI or something. Makes a lot of noise. I was in there and I was like, okay. What do? I have 45 minutes there. Okay. So I meditate.
Yep.
and then meditation happens.
Yes.
So to translate, I concentrate,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then meditation arises.
Yes.
And because also of my job, it's something that I'm used to, but it's a state.
Mm.
So it doesn't have to change the state, but the emotion can come
Yeah.
up and down, like a thought. Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh no, I'm gonna live. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna suffer. Blah, 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 blah. What's gonna my mom say? Things like that. Um, this is all true, but not really true.
Uh-huh. And when you're in that meditative state in the MRI and all those thoughts are happening, the background becomes the meditation. So
Yeah.
you can say, "Oh, there's that thought," but I can choose now to redirect myself back to the meditation state. I totally understand that. That's what all the wisdom traditions teach. All the talk about observing your thoughts, like you said
Mm-hmm.
before. And God knows I'm no master. I'm just a student. But it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
even with little training and being this guy from Montreal, Quebec, who has not been meditating his whole lifetime, doesn't take so long once you understand what's possible. So I have MRIs every 3 months,
Yes.
and when I'm in the machine, when I come out of the machine, Christopher was with me. Now he knows, but at the beginning, are you okay? How was it? It's fine. And when I'm in the MRI, I meditate. Of course, what I first do, let me say this, is I protect myself. So I get comfortable. They always ask if I want a blanket, and I always say yes. And then I close my eyes
Because it's cold.
because it's cold. True. But I always close my eyes just before they put the contraption on my head to keep my head from moving. Because that's something I don't need to have that in my as an extra thought. I begin my meditation right there lying on the table. And once I'm in the machine, I start surrendering. It's hard to describe my meditation practice, but I start connecting with God and opening. I start opening and just offering myself. That's how I meditate and receiving. And then there's other things that happen which I don't have to go into, but it brings me into such a state of joy that one of the thoughts that I have is, I am smiling right now. I'm usually smiling for the entire time that I'm in that machine. And I'm thinking, I don't know if they have cameras in here watching me
Yeah.
from the booth where they're controlling things. But if they are, they must think I'm nuts because I'm smiling. I am so full of joy. And that the fact that that's even possible, that I can be in this tube with earplugs and headphones to block out all the noise and feel such joy that that's even possible. Oh,
Yeah.
anything's possible.
Yeah. Me, I have another technique, but it's similar. What I do is I put myself as a choice of consciousness.
Mm,
So I put myself into the state of pure consciousness.
mm,
So I embody everything. So I become a grain of salt or a grain of sand. And then I don't have joy. I don't have pain. I don't have fear. I just have pure flow
mm,
going through.
mm,
And it's an experience that I like to have because it puts me in the center.
mm. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I had three, four cancers. The first one I didn't do. I knew how, but I didn't do it.
Mm,
The second one, I started doing it. Third one. And the fourth one, which was here, I did it all the way. And it was end of life. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's be it. It's not a doing thing. It's more like getting out of the matrix by putting the matrix inside my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not going out, it's just embodying everything.
Yeah.
So in that consciousness, you know, nothing really matters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not that you're disconnected, you're there. And then there's the what is left, you know, when everything is in the consciousness and is in unity consciousness and in pure consciousness, then really um, the only thing that is left is the fabric of what is, which is love. And even love, it's not the right word.
Because it's just a word.
Yeah, it's like more like grace, devotion with fulfillment
Mm-hmm.
and maybe wonder.
Mm.
It's a mix.
And then for me, I would add humility.
Yes,
Mm.
it's big, but at the same time, it's so simple. Very. So I'm there in the big machine, a little cold. I cannot move. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is the experience. I would have chosen like a beach in Costa Rica, of course. But this is what is there.
Mm.
And let's not make the best out of it. It's not really that. It's
Mm-hmm.
more like it's very neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Like profoundly neutral and love ish,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the name is. So to go through that experience with that feeling, um, I do think that by us telling, because it's something to go in those machines, you know, most of the people panic, but not most, but I mean, nobody likes that,
I'm sure it's
right?
very common. Yeah.
And I don't say I like it. I don't. I would prefer do something
I would
else.
also be rather be on a beach in costume.
Yes, yes. But this is not the point.
No.
It is this line, this timeline.
Yes. Yes. This is. And so to be with it as that, as pure consciousness, and letting it flow.
Oh, it's the is it already? No. Je vais juste le. Steph? Stephanie? I have another meeting at 7.
Oh, okay, okay.
At 8.
Okay.
Um,
So I'm glad you said that because I think people need to know that having the MRI experience or being in those machines doesn't have to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
It can be the opposite of that as
Yeah.
we're both experiencing.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. Thank you. That's what I wanted
Yes.
to.
Let's get out of this matrix.
Yes.
Not out, but let's embody it plus everything else.
Yes.
And embody, open the consciousness as far as it is possible.
Yeah.
And from that, just be.
Yeah.
And then the experience at least will not be fearful or
Mm-hmm.
will be neutral at the worst.
At the worst. Neutral as an experience. Supported by a deep knowing that we are connected to everything. Because it's not just neutral. It's the neutrality that is allowed to happen because there's an infinite context now that's holding your experience.
Yeah. because um, you know, we are made out of energy, and we are watching a movie right now. In that movie, I had cancer 4 times.
Hmm.
You had cancer once or
Twice.
twice, that's
Twice.
true. And it's like in that movie, we are the miracle. And also we know that I know a spiritual energetic path that is the path to life, whether we die or not,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. And
Yes.
by doing this path, by embodying this path, we are choosing a life. And the body did follow, in my case and in your case.
Hmm.
If the body wouldn't follow, for
Hmm.
example,
Hmm.
that's possible,
It's possible.
then it's fine too.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
death is not a failure,
No, God, no. Death is not a
okay?
failure.
It is not.
No.
It is a learning experience. It is a change of state. It is a change of body, whether you believe it or not. And at the worst, nothing is the other side. If there's nothing, you know what? You will not know
Right.
because
Right.
you will not be
Right.
there.
Right. I
What a
think,
joy!
yeah. I think, I think that, I think for everyone, the, no, I shouldn't say for everyone. For many people, including myself, I just love this life so much. I don't want to leave this party. That's how I put it often. I don't want to leave this party. This is so good. But I also know now, beyond any doubt, that we continue. And I'm not trying to convince anyone who's listening of that, but I know for myself and my deepest being that we are more, that I am more than this body Jeff. I know that. And I've had enough subjective experiences to understand that we are consciousness. We are beings of consciousness and that we continue. Nothing in nature is lost. We can have another conversation about how complexity arises and continues to be complex, that nothing is ever, no energy is ever lost in the universe. We have become these complex consciousness forms. We can, anyway, we can go down all kinds of roads of people who've had near death experiences, communication with other passed on souls, what the quantum physicists are telling us about um, invisible, instantaneous entanglement between subatomic particles. Anyway, none of that matters. But what am I trying to say here? That regardless of what happens, having a deeper knowing of who we really are will allow us to navigate any situation with peace
That's it.
and grace.
I agree with peace
Yeah.
and grace, but peace is the first step
Yes.
because to be at peace, you need to be coherent.
Yes.
You need to be aligned with the divine. You need to be within yourself as the observer. And yes, you'll have emotions and thoughts and pains, but peace will be there, so stable.
Yes.
And you can use that like a stair
Yes.
to lift yourself up.
Yes.
Second step is grace.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, gratitude of great attitude of grace.
Yes.
And this will fill up your gas tank.
Yes.
And then from there, there's this pull up of, wisdom, faith, joy, consciousness, love, uh, and higher. But the more we rise in
Mm-hmm.
frequencies, people think that we become, um, well, I would say that the more we embody consciousness,
Mm.
the less difference there is from me and you,
Yeah.
from me and my cat, and from, us and Bangladesh
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or other countries, or because it's like the sensitivity and the expansion of consciousness is outside of space, now outside also of time.
Time.
So these experiences are within us. And when I think of that, it's there, like any memories. But also, there's other paths that could have been there that I didn't choose, that are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Just the potential that's in my consciousness. And you could have been not there. I could have been not there,
Mm-hmm.
physically, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not happen in this time. We are here because we did choose to be here and to have the whole experience that goes with it, that is neutral. It's fun, but it's also suffering,
Mm-hmm.
but it's peaceful because we choose that. We choose to be at peace and in grace and upper. Mm.
I love you.
You too. Oh. How is your back?
Fine this whole time.
Ah, so what a strange mission we have, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to help people de-dramatize the
Mm.
prognostic,
Mm.
that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's a start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you said also your life's mission is to help people be who they are,
Yes.
in manifestation with their clothes and their.
I would say to know who they are.
Yeah,
To know who they
yeah.
are.
Sometimes they don't know.
That's the beginning. To
Yeah.
know who they are so they can be who they are.
Mhm. Yeah. Me, I don't know the mission. I think I've just changed my mission
Mm.
with this new lease. I
Mm.
have a new lease.
Mm.
Maybe it's to teach how to make new leases on life,
Mm.
create more vitality,
Mm.
use consciousness to influence matter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, did you ever? Uh, anyways, no, you didn't. Sometimes I didn't do that for a long time, but sometimes I do spoon bending parties.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
yeah.
I tried as a young person too many, many times.
Yeah, usually people succeed.
Mm.
But yeah, we do that.
Mm.
And it's of course not the goal to bend a spoon. It's not that. It's just the supremacy of energy,
Mm-hmm.
of consciousness over matter. When your spoon bends,
Mm.
There's something that clicks.
Yes. Oh my God. The impossible all of a sudden is possible.
That's it. So, the same thing happened with electricity.
Hmm.
And so I do think that um, it's not a miracle what happened. It's just that we do bend spoons.
Mm. We do bend.
Okay.
Oh, that's the name of this. We do bend
Spoons.
spoons.
I'm not sure.
Copyrighted. It's done. It's done.
Spoon
It's done.
benders. Ah, yeah, we do bend spoons.
That pretty much says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so thank you.
Thank you. We wish you well and joy and love.
Bye bye.